today I've put together a little presentation in a little hour for us to talk about what I call clever marketing. And it's a way to use like your everyday moments to advance your career and how you can like make the most of every little thing that you're doing to really drive and push forward to where you want to be, basically. So I'm going to move my little presentation on. So just a little intro to anybody that, that wants to know me. I'm Samantha Cusick. So I'm actually a hairdresser by my origins. That's what I started off doing. Through marketing and clever marketing and brand building, I went from being a hairdresser in a salon, just working as a normal. And then I think we've got some feedback. Everyone's got the maybe mute if you're not muted. Perfect. Yeah, so I started off doing hair and then I actually built up a presence while I was working in a hair salon as sort of like this go-to person for balayage and certain type of beach waves and really established myself as that sort of authority in that little niche. And from it, I grew from being a hairdresser in one salon to owning now four salons. I'm just about to open another one. They're called Samantha Cusick London. And then I last year opened a co-working space called Stay Studios, which is essentially like a WeWork for hairdressers. So freelancers can come and rent chairs, or we've got a podcast studio, loads of like different like individual studios. It's an event space. So it was really listening to what people were saying online through what I'd built and the community to answer the needs of what my industry needed now. So that's where Stay Studios came along. And then I've also, learned a lot along the way, which is why I quite like to get the chance to do things like this and connect with other women and share what I've learned, because it's all been very much learn as you go and self-taught. And there's been some very, very expensive lessons made and learned along the way. So anything I can do to share is something I really want to do. So I was about to launch actually, it's in this soft launch phase, is the Beauty Business Platform, which is essentially a digital platform that will help people learn what I've learned along the way. And then I launched a podcast called the Silly Little Girls Club. So if ever you ever need any sort of like girl power motivation, the Silly Little Girls Club is all about that. Essentially, to give you a bit of background on that and how my journey's come, is when I first opened my salon, because at the time it was 9 years ago, the horrible little letting agent, old man who showed me around my salon, he didn't believe my business. He didn't understand my business plan and like the foundation all being built on social media. And he really dismissed me. He actually called me a silly little girl to my face. And I was sharing that story with some people at Soho House. And my friend was like, the Silly Little Girls Club, that needs to be like, you need to do something with that. And that's how the podcast came about. So now I get to have amazing women on there that have really overcome that sort of doubt and that sort of really done it in spite of things to share those moments. And that's, something that's really, I'm really proud of. So if you ever get the chance and you want a bit of inspo, and they're quite funny, if I do say so myself, then check that out. And also, you'll see that I've used social media and building a brand to actually, on top of having my businesses, become global ambassadors for 6 brands now, which is crazy, which is, another job in itself entirely. But it just shows you the power that social media and personal branding and cleverly marketing yourself as an expert in your field can lead to, because I never ever would have dreamt that I would have got to do this. So it's pretty wild. So today I put together a little deck just to talk us through this, and I can send it to anybody else, to any of you that want it, because it's got a lot of little tips and things in there. But what I wanted to do today was to talk about how professional success is no longer just about doing your job well. You literally have to sort of scream and shout what you do and really show that you are that go-to person to build connections and sort of just position yourself as that expert in your field. So what to expect on this session is to understand like the power of personal branding and what it can actually do, but also practical strategies and like tangible ways that you can build that professional presence. Like one thing I personally hate is whenever I log on to like a call or what I think would be like an educational session, and it's so hypothetical and you literally can't take anything tangible away. So I've hopefully packed that full of lots of things today for you to actually be like, oh, Some hopefully will resonate, and if some isn't, if you don't agree, then that's fine. Pop it in the chat. We can have a discussion. But I kind of personally love that. And the goal for today is to have, like I said, actionable strategies to turn everyday professional moments into powerful career building opportunities. So, how do we do that? So, what would personal branding for PAs, EAs, what would that look like? So, it's sort of thinking about like branding yourself beyond the traditional. So, it's all about like, it's all built around the question is asking yourself, how can I make my expertise visible to the right people? So, this is all terms of like marketing yourself, selling yourself, getting, new business, new clients, or diversifying into like, maybe teaching others or sharing tips or building whatever your dream career looks like. This like marketing yourself and branding yourself is a really important part of that. So it's all about things like demonstrating your strategic value, building trust with like your current and future employers, and creating opportunities for career advancement, and just making sure that you really position yourself as that industry expert. So you are that person that people know that they can go to, they can get what they need, and you are that person for them. So I like to think about this all as like storytelling. So I always think about how I respond to brands or to people in particular. Like I like to see the people behind the brand and know a bit more about them, because people really do buy people. Like they buy into like your why you do something, and more so than just your like white paper of what you do. They want to know a little bit more. So using storytelling to really communicate your expertise in that really authentic way is super important, and it's really at the base of what I've done, like making sure that I talk to people about why I start the salon and like what it means to me, and like the story then of like how my team develops and how they grow, and it really has people like invested because they feel part of that journey, and that is something that translates across like every industry. So why it works so well is because decision makers, they connect with professionals who can tell them what their worth is and the impact that they can have. Everything I come across of when I'm researching like different marketing strategies and anything like that, the biggest thing that always comes back is that people want solutions to their problems, and essentially what we're going to do is tell them, hey, we are the answer to your problems. Like, you've got this problem, I can solve it. Here's how I do it. And then there's no doubt. And you're that go to person that is just so entrenched then that you're completely irreplaceable. So, employers want to see your problem solving abilities and growth mindsets. That's exactly what we just said. And your network needs to understand that you have a unique value proposition. So your USP, is there something that you do that really stands out against like other people in your industry? Do you have a specific way of doing something? Have you implemented specific systems? Like, tell people about it, because we've got to be our own biggest advocates really in a very noisy, crowded world. So examples of strong storytelling that might work for you, it's talking about like behind the scenes. Tell somebody how you streamlined your board meetings to save 5 hours of prep time. Like, there's sharing how, even in this world now where we've got AI going off like crazy, sharing how you use that and really building that authority, and like showing people why they need you to show them how to do it and to do it for them. So professional development, like why you're investing in a certain project, or why you're learning like a qualification, like how is that going to problem solve for your next client or your next employer. And then obviously industry insights, like what you've learned from managing a crisis, because everyone loves those sort of stories where something's going horribly wrong and then you don't know where it's going to go, and then it's surprise, I fixed it. And like how you've made improvements and like things that you've actually bought, like innovations that you perhaps have that you might think everyone's doing them, but I can guarantee they're not. Like, there's going to be things that you guys do that no one's even ever thought of, and putting that out there and sharing it, you could even learn to monetize it. Like, there's so much you can do. So an example to get you thinking about it is, think of a time when you've solved a complex problem or you've improved a process, and how that's become part of your professional story. So for me, it was obviously, to relate it back to hair, I was that person that was one of the first to talk about doing balayage and doing that free-handed painted colour. And that was me. I shared to other professionals and I was showing other people how to do it, but at the same time I was always talking to my end user, to my prospective clients. And, it really established me in the industry as somebody that was the go-to person to understand and learn about this, but also clients to come to me because they knew they would get what they want. So hopefully this is all making sense. And then, so how you can take that even further is thinking about like networking events as career opportunities. So, at the beginning I sort of introduced this as like taking every professional moment and using it to brand and market it yourself. It's hopefully, let me know in the chat if you've all heard of the saying where people say everything is content. And that is something that I really do believe in. Like, we don't have to go out of our way to build these elaborate marketing strategies and different things. It can literally be as easy as sharing your day to day, like jumping on LinkedIn and helping somebody out or posting about something that you've done. It's trying to use every professional development for your brand. So your network wants to know that they're connected to a strategic, growth minded professional. When you attend events and you attend webinars and training sessions, like that really demonstrates your commitment to excellence and to growing and really making sure that you're bringing the solutions to what a lot of people are struggling with. So you can make amazing like marketing opportunities from events, even such as this. So even doing like something around what maybe you've learned today, but like sharing key insights on LinkedIn, connecting with other attendees, so people that in the network, like maybe reaching out and connecting with them and like sharing and takeaways and helping each other, and obviously documenting it, and then engaging with speakers and other leaders and people that expand out your network. So because if you're learning and growing, then you're becoming more valuable, and show your network that commitment. I'm really sorry, my dog has decided to start barking, so just please ignore him, he'll stop. But yeah, that's just something to how I like to think about it. So whenever I go, again, for an example, if I'm doing a talk like this, then I would quite happily share what I'm doing, like upload different things that I've learned, put it onto social media so that it can hopefully reach and help other people. Because again, I feel like as women especially, we really do have to advocate for one another and really share what we've learned and literally lift each other up, because if we're not gonna, who's gonna? So turning professional moments into brand building. So this is just to build on sort of what I've already just covered. I'm trying to make sure that I keep on top of this chat in case anyone's got any questions as well. So I'll just keep checking there. But how do you turn those moments into brand building? So how can you do, what practical steps that you can you do? So thinking about content ideas for career advancement, because for me, we don't have to spend loads of money on PR or all of these things. Like, we can actually market ourselves pretty successfully for free, like using different platforms and using the right platforms. So for professionals, obviously, like, I know LinkedIn's changed a lot, but it's still such a great way to build and connect with people. And it's actually probably one of the easiest to build with, because unlike Instagram and TikTok and all of these other ones where you have to essentially attract followers and wait for them to find you, you can literally go onto LinkedIn, find people that you want to be part of your network and click connect. And then, you're building already and you can sort of message them, and so you can really quickly build a network, which I find super interesting because my world mostly is on Instagram and TikTok. So using LinkedIn for different things, I find it really interesting that you can build those connections really quickly. But, you can jump on there like once or twice a week and just put even reflections on industry trends. So things that pop up, if there's anything, of relevance, any stories of note that have come out in the press, or, anything like new technologies that are being covered on different things, like share that and share your insights and encourage conversation. And then, what lessons have you learned from challenging projects? Because again, like I'm a big believer in like little sayings, but a problem shared is a problem halved. And I've joined a lot of like groups within Facebook and within LinkedIn of like other business founders and women that are doing, businesses, not necessarily in my industry, but across the board. And you can guarantee the problem you're having, someone else has had it. And it's amazing how willing people are to share and build that network. So you might need a specific person for something, or a bit of software, or a program or an app just to really help you get ahead in what you're doing. Within an hour of putting a plea for help basically out there, you can have someone reply, and it's so nice, and you can do that for other people. And then all of a sudden you're on someone's mind, so an opportunity arises, they're like, oh wow, Anna's an authority in that, so I'm going to connect with her when I've got this opportunity. And all of a sudden that branding and that marketing is working, it's bringing you those opportunities. So it's all about becoming a magnet and trying to attract those opportunities and make the most of them. So thinking about, like, thoughtful leadership on, best practices, like sharing things, because, a lot of people, for me, for example, like I am in desperate need of an EA and a PA, but I've never worked with one. So think about things like that. If you were that person that could share those insights on, these are the best ways to work with an executive assistant. This is how to get the most from that relationship and those couple of hours that you maybe have a day with a freelance personal assistant. So sharing that knowledge can really help take barriers down from clients that want to access what you guys do but don't know how to. And it's thinking like cleverly about these different customer segments and marketing towards them using these sort of platforms. So for me, example, if I saw a TikTok of an EA telling me, like, right, this is what we need, this is what you would need, this is how I can help you, DM me if that sounds like you. I would be straight up in the DMs. And it's like, if someone brands themselves as that authority and that sort of savior to my everything, then you're going to be straight there and going to be connecting with that person. So think about, like, quick updates, like behind the scenes of complex project coordination, because I'm obsessed. I don't know if you guys have seen, let me know in the chat if you've seen them, but there's this girl on Instagram and she runs like a travel agency, and she's like, I think she does it for like hen do's and corporate things, but she actually shares the phone calls. She's on the phone usually in a swimming pool because she's obviously working her digital nomad best life, and she will share like how she takes a client that's really like having a bad time. They've gone to this like hotel and it's gone sideways. They connect with her because obviously she brands herself as this sort of travel agent savior. And she shares that conversation and that method of how she does it. And then obviously the testimony afterwards of, like, she saved their entire hen do. And I'm obsessed with watching these. I'm like, gosh, and if I ever feel like I'm in that situation, I'd probably reach out. So again, it relates back to what you guys do and what we all do. So sharing like real time learning of that professional development, like that is just, it's really priceless. It's quite an amazing thing to be able to show. And obviously networking highlights from industry events, because we all love a fly on the wall, like a reality documentary series, and it's like, showing people your world, like what is your day to day. Like, I'm obsessed with little mini vlogs. I'm sure a lot of you maybe watch like daily vloggers that just do their day to day life, but it's so interesting because it's different to what you do and it really shares insight and value. So thinking about how you can use that to brand what you do and really appeal to more clients. And obviously professional networking. So share expertise in industry forums. So like Pally Talk, for instance, like the forum and what you guys are doing. I see people on here like a lot being like, oh, I am doing this, or I've got a couple of hours each day free to take on more clients, and building that professional network. Because while somebody in there might see that but not, and have a fully booked roster and not be able to take it, they might think, oh, I know, Claire. I've just seen her post that she's got some free time. Let me send her the person that's inquired. And, they know because you've helped them a few times and you've shown that you've demonstrated that sort of expertise in what you do, that their recommendation isn't going to be a flop. So it's really thinking about how to take that traditional mentality of marketing and branding and use it to your advantage. So you're using it to become that magnet. So, and contribute to professional discussions. Like that's something that I really learned to do when it came to like industry peer to peer things. So I would always sit back and I'd always watch and I'd see things come up and I'd be like, oh, that's interesting. But I've done it, I've had a success doing it like this, or I tried that and it didn't work. And so I then, instead of sitting back, I started contributing to these forums and like just, checking in a little bit not all the time, like once a week or whatever. And I would just like, if I could help out and do things. And then through that, I build a network of people and I get to do, talks like this. And, it really does extend beyond what you think you'd be doing. And that's so like offering the insights in LinkedIn groups as well. Like there's such a good way. And I'm not like, if any of you use Facebook, I think that's a good way. But for some reason, I've lost the ability to operate Facebook. I just don't understand it anymore. Like I have to like ask my mum. to use Facebook, which is bizarre, but anyhow, that's just my problem. But yeah, but really being invested in, different ways that you can advance your career. It's like subtle advertising, if you like. Like you're just getting yourself on that radar and you're really establishing yourself as that authority. So I like to think of it as like having a professional content strategy. So think about like every piece of content you share should reflect your expertise, strategic thinking, and commitment to professional growth. It's literally like your online presence becomes your professional portfolio. I've obviously got a typo on my deck, so don't judge me. So it's going to want people, it's going to keep people coming back to you as well. So making sure, let me know in the chat with a quick thumbs up or like a quick no or something like that. If you already do something like this, do you have a professional content strategy? Because it'd be really interesting to know if that's something that is something that you're already doing or not. So I can't really advocate enough for having a strategy. So thanks for the honesty. Nope. It's sometimes like, do any of you want to get into sort of like posting a bit more and using this sort of way to attract new business and new clients? Because having a strategy, and like when someone says a strategy, it can feel very overwhelming and you're like, I don't even know where to start. But essentially it's literally a plan. Like, oh, Catherine, you've got one for your clients, but not for you. That's like, yeah, that's standard. I'm literally this like it can be the same. Like with my team, I have such a clear strategy for how I want their Instagrams to work and how they showcase their work that sometimes I forget about mine. But when you bring it back and you have that strategy, and it's a simple one, so all I would recommend doing is thinking about like, having posts and having things that fit into certain pillars. So you want to have like a post that educates people. So that really is where you build that authority and you can build that sort of like, you are the knowledge in that niche and in your area. Then you want to have like content that attracts people. So it's things like, answering their problems as the solution. And then also a bit of entertainment. So, funny things that happen that you can share, a meme that's relevant to your industry, like all of these sort of things. It can be a strategy can be as simple as that. And just making sure that everything you put out there has that intention and it has that end goal. And that would be to, attract new business. Ultimately, that's what we're marketing ourselves for. So and there's a lot of help out there. I mean, my goodness, you can literally just go on to AI at this point and they can build out a strategy framework that then you can fill out. But it really does help you get that. I call it busy brain, when you just everything's going on too much and you can't get a clear path forwards with this because it can feel very overwhelming. So just simplifying what you're doing and being like, right, so I'm gonna make sure that I'm posting on LinkedIn twice a week, maybe, different articles that I've seen that I think will be relevant, and just start building up a little bit of portfolio. And it just really brings it all together into like a strategy. But that is just something that I would really advocate for. It really does just simplify everything for you. And going on from that, like this is sort of something that I would encourage you guys to have a look and do, is thinking about like using that strategy to document and share your expertise. So, ideal ideas for building like a professional presence is thinking about like, posts that are continuous learning that keeps me ahead of the curve. So excited to implement these product management and strategies for my team. So, and then, writing a bit about that. Like, have you just discovered a new workflow app that's like completely changed your life? Like all of these different things. And, before you know it, you've probably you could build up a relationship with these brands that you work with and different things. And because I'm guessing a lot of you do this already for your clients in your sleep, so it's thinking about how to do it to yourself for yourself so that you get the growth and you can like demand higher premium like tariffs and different things, so you can actually elevate and keep pushing yourself forward, so you get to that, like you keep building up and you can ultimately charge more because you're worth it. So thinking about like networking with industry leaders and like bringing new perspective to roles, like that is something that we all try and do. So it's just shows that you're investing in skills and delivering even better results. So talking about those wins, like, because I think as well as when we're women, we can quite often not celebrate our wins as we should. And I think, making sure that you just have that little bit it built into your strategy that it is there to celebrate your wins, share things that you're proud of, share things like, testimonies from like people that you've worked with. And like it really does help build that bigger brand. Every role is evolving. So share how you stay ahead because, it's an exciting but scary world how a lot of things with AI how actually that is a credit that can be used as a credit to what you do and how nothing's being replaced by anything like that, but it's how you can be an expert in using that to better your clients and better their experiences as well. Even things about starting conversations so it can spark new ideas. So I like to do a lot of polls and encourage engagement and build that network. So, questions as simple as like, what skill do you think is the most important for assistants in 2025? Like, what's the biggest challenge in your role now? Like, which development topic is interesting to you? So all of these different things that you can do to encourage that engagement and that community building that will ultimately serve you is something that I just advocate to like so much. I think it's really, really important. And it's all about like maximizing it as well, because I know day to day, like you guys are busy. Like sometimes I can sit there and think, God, I haven't got time to be doing all my personal branding and marketing, like, but it doesn't have to take more time. It's about being more strategic with it and a bit more reactive, but not having it eat into your day and your time. So like maximizing your professional content. So things that work well is just quick posts on like sharing your expertise but in an authentic way, so genuine insights from your experience. So also sharing like maybe how you approach complex challenges and documenting your growth and celebrating those wins and just demonstrating your understanding of business trends as well, because for me, for instance, if like I could find someone that could understand what I needed in that sense of things, and I was like, right, oh, that's perfect. That's a problem that I didn't even know needed solving until I saw that. Like that is incredible. And the insights that you guys will have from working with different people, that can be utilized across all your clients. So, and process improvements, like how highlight efficiency and innovation, because everybody is so time poor. So it's how can we work together to make sure that we have that, cohesive workflow and everything gets done. And it's just making sure that you really hammer home that you are this solution to people's problems, all wrapped in a really beautiful branded little bow. And then you can just keep killing it. So essentially, it always seems very complicated when we talk about things like strategy and all these different things, and it can get very noisy very quickly, especially in the world of like marketing and digital marketing. Like, I just feel like it's a very noisy world, and you have to sometimes just cut through the noise. And I think the best way to do that is with a plan. I'm like one of those people that I just like to have everything organized and really efficient. So if I've got a plan and then it happens, because if I don't have a plan, then I just don't, the productivity is gone. So like building out these like plans where you can just make the most of little things, so you don't have to have then a whole chunk of time developed to brand building, create content creation, things like that. It's just you're always thinking like, right, I can do that straight away because I've already done it. I just need to frame it slightly differently. So what could be improved and what doesn't, like things that you do need to think about, like if you do want to start doing like brand building and clever marketing, is consistency. It's very easy to sit down and get all these ideas and then do it for a week, um and and then it falls off because you're not maybe getting the engagement that you expected, or it's not having the reach straight away that you expected. It is all about consistency. It's about showing up in those forums, it's about showing up on Pally Talk, and it's about showing up online that starts building that recognition, and people start recognizing your name and your, we've all got like Instagram friends that we've never met, but they're like, you recognize them because you like comment on the same things or whatever. So it's about that constant showing up, and it's about engagement. So respond to DMs, like respond to questions, like, it can take time, but it's so important that we don't just ghost people, because again, that negates this whole exercise of marketing and building like a community and building that brand. And make sure that your tone of voice and what you present out there reflects your expertise level. Like we can all be probably a little bit guilty of imposter syndrome and thinking like, oh gosh, I don't that doesn't sound like me, but it does. If you if you're talking about it and you know about it, you're an expert in it, then let people know. Like, it's not the time to be shy. And then obviously people say that hashtags and different things are like falling out of favor with SEO words, but in my experience, honestly, making sure you've got a couple of relevant ones in there is what people search for. It's what I search for. Think about how you use these platforms. Like, how are you searching LinkedIn to find people? How are you using, Pinterest to find articles and things like that? I'm using these sort of hashtags and things because it's already catalogued it for you. And so making sure that you do the same thing. So, if you share a LinkedIn post, but then you post it on, I don't know, Pinterest under productivity methods or whatever people are making Pinterest boards on, then it's going to link to it and they're going to be able to find it. So it's making sure that when you are putting in this effort of really marketing yourself and growing your personal brand, that you're discoverable. Because remember at the beginning, I said about, it's all about getting your work visible to the right people. This is how you make it visible. So it's sharing things and making sure that they can be found. So quick improvements for big impact. Like, these are just little things that you can do straight away. So without having to build like a big strategy and different things, it's refining that personal presence. Because if a lot of you are already doing little bits like this, but it's how can you just do little things to get big wins. Again, adding call to actions. So making sure that everything you post, every sort of link that you share or anything that you do has a call to action. And that means like asking a question or directing people somewhere, like click this link to find out more, or, like even asking questions like what's your approach to managing competing priorities. Gosh, that was a tongue twister. But, just encourage like people to connect and to take action from your post. Asking questions, really simple thing in the captions, rather than just like dumping on people like a bit of knowledge. It's like, right, let's encourage people to ask questions because that's how we learn better. Engagement strategy, comment on other people's things, get seen, like a really interesting like little quip that you can put on someone's caption, because I always like to just go through the comments and I'm like, oh, that's a really interesting point of view, let me go on their profile, and then they land onto you, and then all of a sudden, oh, here's Catherine, an authoritative like EA that knows what she's doing. I'm going to connect with her because I need her. It's just all about thinking about how you can build that network and get eyes on you and what you do. So sharing relevant articles and participating. I keep saying that all the time, but it is about participating and showing up. And then a cross-platform presence. So, sharing on the forums, sharing on LinkedIn, sharing on Instagram, TikTok, like anything that's within your network is a really good way to start getting that sort of recognition and getting people to see you. The biggest takeaway is that these consistent efforts in building your professional brand will dramatically impact your career trajectory. And this is not just something that I will say, this is something that I have learnt firsthand personally and also with my team. So obviously having hair salons, I've actually got a team of, I think it's 35 hairdressers now under all the salons. Part of our strategy to keep them busy, because obviously we want them to build their own brands within our brand and obviously attract clients. The ones that post consistently about what they've been doing and sort of like personal brand building, so the client knows them, so they feel comfortable with them straight away, they know they're going to get the perfect hair. The ones that post consistently and show up are exponentially busier than the ones that don't. And then that's the conversations that we have to have with the ones that don't, like, are very difficult sometimes, because we all need to contribute to this pot which people to draw from. And I think the ones that do it, they really benefit. And it's just something that I've really seen, consistency and just these small little things, like a call to action on one of the team will post like a really beautiful before and after balayage. If they put a call to action on, like link to book in the bio, you can see the click through, it's working, compared to the same person that when they don't put a call to action, there's nothing. It's almost like people are waiting in the captions to be told what to do. So it's like, if you're answering someone's question, so even if it's like a job post or an advert, telling obviously people why you are that person for them, and then being like, right, can I get a call with you, or can I do this, like making sure that call to action is on everything. It really transforms like the outcome, like dramatically. So making one professional moment work harder. So building on what we've kind of said a little bit, this is obviously a little bit repetitive, but I really want to make sure that you can take away from this that you don't have to do like the absolute damn most. You can do the most with the little things, so like everyday moments. So example, when you've been to an event, or when you've been to a training session, or when you've done something spectacular in within your day, like making sure that you leverage your learning, using LinkedIn resume enhancement. I'm guessing you guys, are you quite good at updating things when you've learned? Because I bet you do it for your clients all the time. Are you guys, like, let me know again in the chat if that's something that you're quite good at. Do you keep everything up to date so you are literally, got it all there? Or is it do you only revisit it when you need to send it to somebody? Because making sure that's already there, it just makes you searchable, and especially if you're freelance, like, that is super important. And obviously thinking about, like, when you are meeting with people and you're in an interview, like, how can you use this to demonstrate, like, growth mindset, and using it for network expansion, and, like, just sharing, like, because the work doesn't stop when training ends. It's literally how you leverage your professional development that builds your career. Like, if it wasn't for networking, if it wasn't for social, if it wasn't for personal brand building, I honestly don't think I would have scaled the business like I have done. Like, it's just something that I give I would say a lot of my time now, obviously, is spent on this sort of overview of marketing, but at the same time, I still do a lot of hair. So, but it's really important. So, resources for continued growth. So, how do you keep building that professional network? And it is things like, thinking outside the box, because, like, your network is your net worth. So there's that age old saying, and I know I keep saying sayings, but I really believe them. A lot of the time it can be not what you know, but who you know. And if you know a lot and you know the right people, then I really feel like, it's a double whammy. And, like, you have the authority, but you have the connection. So bring it all together into brand building so that you can meet the right people and then demonstrate that you know what they need to know. That is what's going to build meaningful professional relationships. So again, dedicated community for networking and career growth. You've got it here with Pally Talk, like LinkedIn, and then different industry associations and professional forums. Like, just get on them. Like, it's so important. And that brings us to our final takeaways. So I'm going to open up for Q&A. So if anybody has got any questions, I always like to leave plenty of time at the end, because you never like to rush, because you never know what comes up. So things that I would really like you to take from this session is to remember that the best personal branding doesn't feel like bragging. It feels like sharing your expertise. And every professional interaction is a brand building opportunity. And consistency in showing your value leads to career advancement. And your growth benefits not just you, but your entire organization. So the better you are at something, the better they are, and vice versa. So making sure that you are sharing and lifting each other up, it just really, really helps solidify you as a brand and you as that authority and that person of influence in your industry. So actionable next steps. This is something that, always set aside a few minutes today. Have a think about your next LinkedIn post. Like, what can it be on? Like, is this something that you've been thinking about talking about on there, or something you wanted to know, questions you wanted to ask? Identify 3 professional moments from this week that you could share. So what's gone really, really well, what's not gone well, and what can you learn from it? Because that's always, we learn better from mistakes a lot of the time. And sharing them, is authentic. And if you're comfortable, obviously, doing that. And then maybe connect with 2 new people from this session. Because, there might be people in here that you've not come across before. Like, it'd be nice to start building that relationship and connect. Immediate actions, so things that maybe should be done straight away. Write a reflection post about your biggest takeaway from today. That's a really easy one, as it's going to be fresh in your minds. And then anything you can do with, like, thinking, I haven't updated my LinkedIn profile with these things that I've been doing, I better put that on there. Make sure everything that you can shout about is possibly shouted about on your different, like, internet profiles, and then engage with one industry discussion this week. So, whether that's on the forum, or, whether it's with a colleague, or whether it's on socials, like, really take the time to get involved, because again, I think you'll be surprised about, like, how much that can help, and how much you could learn, but also how much you can grow, and how many connections that you can make from that. So anyway, that's my whirlwind talk of clever marketing and personal brand building, all done in a little nutshell. If you do want to connect with me, you can here. I've got my Instagram and whatever. And I'm always online. So if there are any questions that you don't want to ask in the chat or whatever, then feel free to reach out to me. Like, I'm more than happy to connect with you guys and help in whatever way I possibly can. But yeah, I'll throw it open to you guys. So if anybody does have any questions or anything that they've thought about while we've been on the call, pop them in the chat because that's always nice. And I've got my cup of tea that's gone a bit cold, so I can finally sip it because I've been talking like a crazy person. Does anybody have any questions? Perfect. Oh, you can definitely get a copy of the deck. Absolutely. I've got a PDF. I can send it. Should I send it to you, Anna? And then you can send it on, or whatever's easier. I can definitely get that sent to you. And then this has been recorded, so if you do ever want to revisit it, you guys will have it as well. So yeah. Anything else? We've got plenty of time. Hi, Anna. Oh, see. Yeah, I honestly, yeah. So to be honest with you, people used to say every day, but honestly, for me, consistency doesn't mean every day. It means consistently 3 or 4 times. It's about showing up consistently, and it's always quality over quantity. Perfect example is on Samantha Cusick London, like on the salon's Instagram. We used to post every day, and it was getting like there were lovely posts, but I was like, this is just too much. And so we've scaled it back, and it's actually growing. So reels are the best way at getting reach. So if you want to get more eyes on stuff and you want to get it seen and you want to attract new people, reels all day long, they're still the things that get the most reach. But interweave those with carousel posts because they're the best way to demonstrate authority and educating people because people will swipe through them. So it is a balance. Like we try and do like for every 3 reels, we do one carousel. It's a whole, yeah, perfect. Thank you. That's right. I'll email you the deck so then you can send it out. Perfect. No more questions, I don't think. Or am I just missing them on the chat? I'm not sure. As a virtual assistant business, what platform would you recommend as being the best for finding clients? So for me, I think obviously LinkedIn would be a really, really good one for finding professional people. And I know there's a lot of like, people advertise for their jobs on there. I think obviously Pally Talk as well, obviously. And I think, TikTok is really getting like, if you want to do that more entertaining, problem solving content and you can connect with business owners, you can search different things and different and like, executives that need you. So I think it's kind of having a think about what sector you're in and who you want to serve. Because if it's a very corporate world, then you're going to have to think more corporate. So it'd be, your LinkedIn's and your different forums, like there's Dot as well. If it's creative, there's like a lot of different things. It's what industry do you want to be part of? But obviously, if it's hair, then we're all, TikTok, Instagram, all of those things. But if it's a corporate world, you're going to have to think like that. So it's you need to think about who you need to service and like which clients. So maybe do a target, maybe do some customer segmenting. So who's your dream target customer, and then think about their behaviors. So what are they reading, what are they interested in, what websites are they searching, how are they connecting with people, and build like the persona of your perfect customer and your perfect like client, and where would you find them, and then break it down that way because it really is industry specific. So I hope that helped. But yeah. Anything else? Perfect. Good. Thank you. Okay. Often I find I have NDAs for my clients. I can't be too specific and end up tying myself into knots trying to find something to post. Any advice? I mean, it can be so generic. NDAs, obviously, you can't be specific and talk about the clients, and you can't breach certain projects that they're working on and different things like that. But that doesn't stop you talking about like, tools that you perhaps use, unless obviously the tool is part of the NDA. But like, like I'm managing this. I'm working within a team on a project. I've been using Trello or, whatever the software is. There's so many different ways to think about it. Like, don't think specific. If an NDA means that you can't talk, who the client is or different things, then you then talk about things that you've learned and the way you can deal with things. And even, you could talk about NDAs. NDAs aren't. It's like, I have an NDA. Like, what does that mean? So you could do a post on NDAs, for instance. It could be that simple. So it's like, you're under an NDA, what can you do, what can't you do? Like, that's a perfect post. And it doesn't give anything away about what you've signed or who you're working for. So try not to think so literally and so like granular. I can get very granular as a very task orientated, organized person. So I can see how like, you'd want to really tie it back to what you're doing, but you could definitely be bigger picture and broader picture. 3 mistakes I made when under an NDA. Done. I would watch that. I would read that. I would download a free or paid for like, PDF on what to do. So yeah, that would be my advice, is to just, think bigger than just that specific project or that client that you can't work on, and maybe talk about like why you can't talk about it, because that's even more interesting probably. We all have a bit of intrigue, like like a trailer to something. Hopefully that helps as well. Right, I'll give you, yeah, Perth. Oh, this is so nice. Love doing this on a Monday. Where is everybody based? I'd love to know where you've all like joined from. I'm in Essex. So just so like London, Essex. So oh, Kent. Perfect. Is everyone UK based, or is anybody from like, out and about? Portugal. Oh my gosh, amazing. Wiltshire, Surrey, Hampshire, Lincolnshire, Yorkshire. Oh wow, so we're all over. That's amazing. It's so good that we can do this now, like virtually. I love it. But yeah. Oh, and Kent, no more from Kent. So this is great. This is a great way to like think about people on network, and then obviously if anybody needs things in different places, you've got a network there, guys. Perfect. Right. Well, I'll give you. If anyone's got any more questions, pop them in, and if not, I'll let you go and get on with your day. And then, like I say, if you need anything or you want to connect with me, I'm on Instagram, on LinkedIn, I'm on the whole lot. So if there is anything you think about, oh, I wish I'd asked that, or I didn't want to put it in the group, then please feel free to reach out to me. Like, absolutely no problem. Look, already connecting. Perfect. We spoke about the creative industry. Do you still think Instagram and TikTok? I think, yeah, for like brand building and marketing for sure. But I think, there are other platforms and things out there that you can connect with that are specifically for the creative industry. Like, an example is there's a platform called Dots, which is all about connecting creative people and things like that. So, and there's also like members clubs and different things that you can be part of, and build like creative things where it's like women's networking and all of these different things that you can be part of. There's even like on Instagram specifically, there's a few women's like networking groups that have like basically you're just in a chat with people, and it's quite amazing. But there's a few of those that you can search and do. So yeah, I definitely think with the creative industries, outside of like specific forums and specific like networking, like digital networking things for social media, they're still the easiest access and fastest growing. Bye.